Hello everyone, in this lesson we're going to be going over how to actually write HTML in JavaScript as well as dynamically updating HTML in our programs. Now the great thing about JavaScript is that we can actually print out and tell it to write HTML code onto our website. This is going to be really useful, especially when we have programs that are going to be designing tables and especially allowing programs to actually make us websites. So let's go ahead and learn about how to actually make a program that prints out a website. Now we're going to use a built-in function inside JavaScript. That's going to be called document.writeLine. Now let's go ahead and write that out. So inside our script tags in our body, we're going to write document, so document dot writeLine. Now after we write writeLine, we're going to add a parentheses and a closing parentheses and then a semicolon. Now anything we write inside this parentheses will be printed out in HTML format. Now inside this parentheses we can also add HTML tags such as a paragraph tag, a heading tag, a table tag. We can basically write HTML inside here. Now let's go ahead and do that. So when we're writing in document.writeLine, we want to keep everything inside quotation marks. So let's go ahead and add our double quotes and then a closing quote. Now inside here we're going to write all of our HTML. For example, let's say we wanted to print out a paragraph. So we can go ahead and add the paragraph tag. So bracket P bracket, and then we're going to write what we want inside that paragraph. For example, I'm a paragraph. Now we can go ahead and close off this paragraph tag just like we did in HTML. So bracket / P bracket, and then let's exit out of this quotation mark. Let's close out by putting another parentheses over here, and let's end it off with a semicolon. Now what we're going to doing is we created a program that when it runs, it will automatically print out for us a paragraph that says I'm a paragraph. So let's go ahead and look at what that looks like. So let's go and run that. Go over here. And there we go. Now we have a paragraph that was printed out by JavaScript saying I'm a paragraph. Now we can also do other things. For example, let's work with other tags. Let's work with the heading because that stands out a little bit more than a paragraph. So we can change these tags into a heading tag, and let's go ahead and write that over here. See, I'm a paragraph. Now let's go ahead and work with if-else statements like we've worked on before. So now that we know how to print HTML code on here, let's go and make a program that does something if something comes out to be true, and then it prints out something else if something is false. Now let's go ahead and create a variable. So we're going to call this var guessed number. So as you can imagine, this is going to be the number that the person guesses. So var guessed number will equal prompt. So we're going to prompt the user. So let's go ahead and put prompt. And we're going to prompt the user to guess a number. Just like that. So we're going to have var guessed number, which is going to equal the value that the user puts in to guess a number. Now we're going to create another variable called var real number, and that will equal our number that we want the user to guess. So that's going to equal, let's say for example, 6. Now let's go ahead and save that and make an if-else statement. So if followed by a spacebar and 2 parentheses. Now in these parentheses we're going to put our test statement or our Boolean condition. Now if the guessed number does not equal, so how do we write an inequality operator? Well, we put exclamation point and we put an equal sign. So if guessed number does not equal the real number, which would be 6, then we want it to create a heading. So let's do document.writeLine, which is going to allow us to print out HTML code onto our website. So document.writeLine, and then we're going to make a heading. So in quotation marks, so opening and closing quotation marks, inside here we're going to write a heading. So bracket H1 bracket. Now we're going to write you guessed the wrong number. Alright, let's go ahead and fix that U. So if this statement is true, so if the guessed number is not equal to the real number, then we're going to have JavaScript print out an HTML heading saying you guessed the wrong number. And now let's go ahead and add our closing H1 tag, so bracket / H1, and now we're going to put that closing quotation mark and then a closing parentheses, and now we're going to add a semicolon. And now down over here we can add an else statement. Now, else statements are not required. You can leave an if statement by itself, and once this turns out to be false, it's just going to quit the if else statement and go on to whatever it's going to work on. So we're going to put an else statement. So we're going to put else, and now we're going to let it document.writeLine. So document.writeLine, and we're going to have it say if this is true, since if this turns out to be false, if guess number is the real number, that means they guessed it right. So we're going to have it document.writeLine, and we're going to have it print out a heading saying you guessed the number. And now we're going to close off that h1 tag, so /h1, close off that bracket and close off the quotation mark, and then close off our parentheses as well as adding a semicolon, and there's our program. So let's go ahead and read our program one by one, statement by statement, because that'll help us understand exactly what our program is doing. So we have a variable called guess number, and that's going to be prompting the user to guess a number. So this is going to be user's input number. Now we have another variable called real number. Now this is the number that we want the user to pick. This is going to be the correct number that we want them to pick. Now this is going to be the number 6. Now we created an if else statement. So if the guessed number is not equal to the real number, meaning they guessed it wrong, we're going to have JavaScript print out a heading that says you guessed the number wrong. Or if they did guess it right, then we're going to have JavaScript print out a heading that says you guessed the number. So let's go ahead and save that and see what it looks like. So let's open up Chrome, and now we get a prompt saying guess a number. Let's make this 5. Let's press OK, and now it printed out a heading saying you guessed the wrong number because 5 did not equal 6. So it printed out you guessed the wrong number. So let's go ahead and refresh this, and let's pick the right number. So let's guess 6. Now we can go ahead and press OK, and now we have our heading saying you guessed the number. So these are going to be really helpful for us when we're making programs, especially when we want programs to write out specific parts of the web page. Now in JavaScript, we can also dynamically update our JavaScript or our HTML. For example, let's remove all of our script, and let's go outside to the body right before we enter the script, and let's go ahead and make a paragraph. So we're going to make bracket p bracket, and now we want to give this paragraph an identifier. So in order for us to be able to dynamically update our paragraphs, we're going to have to give them each an identifier. So let's make this ID equals, and we'll call this first paragraph. Simple identifier. And let's go ahead and write a paragraph saying, hey, I'm a paragraph. Alright, so now we have, before the script runs, we have HTML printing out a paragraph saying, hey, I'm a paragraph. Now let's say we had a program, and in the middle of that program, something turned out to be true, and we wanted to change the actual saying or what's inside the paragraph tag. Now we can do that through inner HTML, which will help us to dynamically update basically our HTML code. So let's go ahead and make an if-else statement. So we're going to create two variables. Variable x will equal 5, and then variable x will equal, variable y should I say, will equal 6. Now let's create an if-else statement. So if, let's have this x does not equal y. So if x does not equal y, then I want to access that paragraph tag, and I want to say that x did not equal 5 inside this paragraph. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to access that identifier that we had over there, and we're going to update its inner HTML, or basically what's inside of its tag. So we're going to go and write the identifier's name. So first paragraph, and then we're going to put dot inner HTML. Now we're going to access the inside of the HTML, and we're going to have that equal to the string that we want the tag, or basically the element, to be replaced with. So we're going to put inside of here x did not equal y. Now we're going to go ahead and add a semicolon, and that will be our entire function. Now looking back over, we have a paragraph that says, hey, I'm a paragraph. We also have a variable x equals 5 and a variable y equals 6. And now we have an if-else statement saying if x does not equal y, which is true, then it's going to change our inner HTML of this identifier, which would be the paragraph over here, and it's going to change it to x did not equal y. So let's go ahead and save that and see what it looks like. So now we get x did not equal y. As you can see, it started off with hey, I'm a paragraph. But then since x did not equal y, it's going to access that inner HTML just like it did, and it changed it to x did not equal y. So that's how we dynamically update inner HTML. We can also update style. So the way we do this is instead of inner HTML, we're going to put first paragraph dot style, and now we're going to follow that by which declaration we want to do. So for example, this is going to work with CSS. So if we want first paragraph dot style, since we're going to be working with style, dot the declaration that we want, for example, color, and we're going to make this blue. So blue. So what's going to happen is that if x and y are not equal, then it's going to change this color of the paragraph to blue instead of being black like it is right now. And no longer do we have that x is not equal y, all we have is this hey, I'm a paragraph. So the end result should be a paragraph that says hey, I'm a paragraph that's in the color of blue. So let's go ahead and save that and refresh our page. And now what do we get? We get hey, I'm a paragraph that is in blue. So it's that easy to dynamically update HTML, and it's that easy to print out HTML inside JavaScript. So let's go ahead and learn about while loops, and let's get ready to do some more advanced JavaScript programming. So until then, see you guys in the next one.